I'm Thomas of Meaningful Gigs, and welcome back to Heroes of the Creative Evolution. In this episode, I speak with Heather Dubin about the importance of the right project management tool for successful creative operations. She talks about how to choose the right tool for your work, provides tips on managing the change for your team and beyond, and much more. Let's dive in. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Heather. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah,
Let's dive
absolutely.
in and just kind of, get an idea of your background and how you got into operations in the first place.
Sure. So I kind of fell backwards into it a little bit. I do have a degree in advertising, so which a lot of people who work in the marketing field they don't. But I do have a degree in advertising, and when I graduated, I didn't really 100% know what I wanted to do with it. And so I got a job as a traffic manager at an agency. And it just sort of, I remember my boyfriend at the time, he's my husband now, he said, so what does a traffic manager do? And I said, I have no idea, but I have a job at an agency and I'm really excited. So it kind of built on that. I realized that type of role is just what I was suited for. It fit my type A personality, but it still let me stay working with creatives and in an industry that I actually had an interest in a background with. So since then, most of my career has been with some sort of creative or marketing project manager or creative ops position, both on the agency side and on the corporate side. So I have the benefit of being able to have said that I've worked on both sides, which is, I think it's a good thing because it gives you that perspective. And whenever you're the client on the corporate side, you understand what agencies are going through. So it helps you to be a better client. So I've worked in all kinds of different industries with all kinds of different clients. Currently, I'm with Dubin and Cell Technologies. We are a medical device manufacturing company that is global. We're based in Lakewood, but we have offices all over the globe. So our team, our very small team, serves a global organization with thousands of employees, which is pretty cool.
Obviously, you want to talk tools and how you can use them to be your superpower, enable you to do great work, right? Specifically, I want to talk about like project management. So why is it so important to actually have like a project management platform versus other ways of keeping track of the work?
Yeah, that's a thing that I feel incredibly passionate about. And I didn't know that I felt passionate about it until very recently. But the world of creative project management and creative ops is so much different than other project managers or other project management in other industries. We have way more projects at a time. I was floored to know whenever I got my PMP certification that lots of project managers will manage 3 or 4 projects at a time. I currently on our active project roster have like 70 with a team of 14. We have 3 designers, 3 copywriters, and a coder. And so we're moving a crazy amount of work through our team. And you can't manage that in your head. The turnaround times are too fast. Average project times in IT or manufacturing or engineering can be for years. Average times for us are 2, 3, 4 months max. And so you really need something that keeps you organized and keeps you to be able to know what the statuses of your projects are, and to be able to collaborate with your team. You can't do that in a spreadsheet. Reporting and KPIs on the operations side of things, a good platform will also help you with that. It'll tell you which of your team members have resources and availability. It'll tell you your burn rates if you're on the agency side so that you can keep track of budgets. You can create reports to report out to executives or clients if you're on the agency side, if you have a good platform anyway. You can't do that with Smartsheet. You can't do that with an Excel spreadsheet, and you certainly can't do it keeping it all in your head. It keeps everything in the right, in one place. So your team can keep track of everything, and they know that, okay, all of the things that I know to need to be able to do this portion of my job are right here. They can communicate within the platform, so they're not having to check Teams or email or another chat or Slack to find out, oh, when did they send me that copy document and which version am I using? It's all right there. And it just helps things move more smoothly, so that you're actually taking the time to manage the project and manage the team rather than, trying to figure out where work is.
When it actually comes time to select a tool, how do you choose the right one for your team?
You have to look at your team and you have to look at what your needs are. So many of these platforms, especially ones that say that they're geared towards creative teams, right? They all say that they can do everything for your team. In my experience, and I have evaluated a bunch, I have implemented new project management platforms with 4 different teams now. And I have implemented a different platform for each team because their needs were different. Their workflows were different. How they worked with stakeholders was different. So it's important to look at what you want the tool to do and what you need the tool to do, and then find the tool that can fit those things rather than finding a tool and fitting your workflow to it. Because if you try to do it that second way, you're just going to end up getting frustrated and you're going to frustrate your team, and it's not going to be good for anybody. If you have a current tool that's not working for you and you want a different one, both from your team and from your stakeholders, figure out what the pain points are, listen to them. Where are things going wrong? What do you want to do better? And pick the tool that helps you actually do that.
You said you've implemented 4 different tools for
Yeah.
I guess, what are some of the steps or tips do you have for implementing the right tool?
Yeah, go slow. That's my first advice. Make sure that you have thought through all of the different pieces and parts and how they're going to impact your team and how they're going to impact the organization. I've seen people, oh, well, we're just going to use, this tool over here and we're just going to go. And because you didn't bring the creative team along, because you didn't bring your stakeholders along, everyone's confused. And so your work slows down. You certainly don't want to do that. Nobody knows where to find things, and everybody's frustrated. Creatives like things to be easy. So, bringing them along in the process and not making those decisions in a vacuum, I think is really important. And then, don't try to roll it out to 100 people all at one time. People are going to get confused. You're taking too much on at a time. With this most recent rollout that I did with my current team, we rolled it out to our creative team first. We worked out the bugs for a couple of months. And then we brought the stakeholders in, and we brought them in slowly. Like we picked a group that we thought, okay, who's going to be the most responsive and who's going to be an advocate for the tool? Who's going to tell other people that, oh yeah, this is actually a good thing and it's a good change. So I think finding those advocates is also important. And so we brought the advocates along. And then once we had them up and running and we had worked out some of the bugs and we had worked out some of the things that were going wrong, that's whenever we started to roll out to the larger group, and it was way more successful.
What tools are you currently using that you just couldn't live without?
I don't know. Am I allowed to use product names? So currently this team is using Wrike, W-R-I-K-E. And it is a lifesaver for me, for sure. It does all of those things that I mentioned that a good platform does. It's intuitive. It manages workflows, it manages schedules, it has automation so that I'm not spending more time managing the tool than I am managing the projects. It also has a very robust reporting feature that we are using probably to its capacity, to be able to provide visibility on how much work is going through our team, and showing the value of our team to higher level executives. Other ones that I've used, we almost chose Monday.com for this team. It was a very close second. I've used Maven Link in the past, which is really good. But again, it all depends on your team, and their workflows. Because the other thing to keep in mind is that some, digital teams, for example, they're working in an agile workspace rather than a waterfall. So maybe you want a tool that is more that than waterfall. So yeah, I tell people all the time, don't just take recommendations. Decide what's best, for your team, and try to make it work for your team rather than make your team work for the tool.
What advice would you give yourself just starting off in creative operations now with the advantage of hindsight?
Oh my gosh, so much. If I could go back to 22-year-old me and tell me all of the things that I have learned, I think I would be, completely overwhelmed. But some of the important things are learn how to keep perspective and find balance. It's very easy in a role like this because of the personalities that are generally attracted to a role like this. You're very type A, right? And you want things in boxes, and you want things structured, but you do have to learn when to let go. You're not going to please everyone all the time, and you're not going to find that perfect answer. And sometimes you have to just say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay that this didn't happen the best way possible. And then also, learning to find balance. This job so often, especially if you're combining project management and operations, is such a tightrope walk. I have had people tell me more than once that this is the most difficult job on a creative team. And I truly believe that, because you're having to balance the needs of your team against the needs of your stakeholders. And those two things don't always match up. And so you have to learn how to give people news that they may not want to hear in a way that isn't going to disrupt the entire project. So I think being able to find that balance and find that compromise and walk that line between sticking to the process and sticking to, the schedule and not letting people push you over, but also being flexible so that you can meet people's needs. It's very much a balancing act on a daily basis.
What's the biggest challenge you face in creative operations today?
Overall, on a daily basis, so I've probably got two different answers to that question. On a daily basis, I think it's people are constantly trying to do too much with too little resources. I think that everybody is seeing that. My husband sees it in his job, and his job is completely different than mine. Budgets are tighter, so everybody's trying to do more. So maintaining that balance between, trying to do more with less, but also setting your team up for success, and setting realistic expectations. I know, stakeholder, that you want to do this in this time, but this is more of a realistic expectation. We can actually do this for you instead. So it's finding that balance on a daily basis of, too little time, too little resources, too much work. How do we figure that out? Yeah, that's my day every day.
Yeah, I want to think about fun for a moment. And
Yeah.
what's the most fun you've had on the job?
The best job, the most fun job I've ever had was being the creative project manager for the Denver Zoo here in Colorado. It was the same job that I've done everywhere, managing creative teams and managing creative projects. But I got to do it for an organization that I love, and for a cause that, just spoke to my heart. And it was absolutely the best. Our office was right outside of where the lion enclosure was. And they would actually at 3:00, it was almost like clockwork every day. The male lions decided that was the time that they were going to start chatting. And so they would start roaring, and it never failed. It would happen in the middle of a meeting. And it was the best because you were talking about a schedule with someone, and all of a sudden you just hear lions roaring in the background. And it was amazing.
That sounds like, super interesting and unique work environment, right?
For sure. If you needed a break, you'd walk outside and you'd go take a walk to visit the elephants. Like, it was just, it was the best.
Well, thanks for your time, Heather. Really appreciate you having you on the show. It's been really wonderful to get your insights on, project management tools and how to really implement them with teams in a successful way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a thing that I'm incredibly passionate about, and I'm absolutely happy to help out.